So I've had the iPhone Air for about 8 months now. Tomorrow my new Galaxy Z Fold 8 arrives, and I'm trading this in, but I decided that I should probably review this before that. So I'm just going to start with the obvious thing. Obviously the selling point of this phone is that it's thin, and yeah, I like it. Obviously that's why I got it, is because it's thin, and it feels great in the hand. And the first time you pick this phone up, you're so amazed with how insanely thin it is. And then you use it for a couple of weeks, months, and that sort of wears off. You know, you're not like super impressed every time you hold it. But it still feels amazing every time you hold it, and it's still nice to have. And every time I have to use someone else's phone, it just feels thick, like this big brick. And then the other thing too is, because it's so thin, it's extremely light. So if you're walking around, you cannot feel this phone hitting against your pocket. And so I really like that. That's really nice. I also just really like the design with like the shiny frame and then the matte back. I know that's how the Pros were before the 17. I don't know why they got rid of it on the Pros because I think it looks so much better. This is the sky blue color. I don't know if you can really tell on camera. In person, it looks white. Like, there have been a couple of lighting situations where it looks a little bit blue. But like, it looks white. People don't believe me when I say I got the sky blue variation because it is just so insanely white. I really hope next year Apple makes sky blue just a little bit more blue. Maybe on par more with like the MacBook Air sky blue. I like that color. So then obviously they had to make a bunch of trade-offs to get the phone this thin. One of them was the speaker. And that was the one that I was the most concerned about because I like a good speaker. And the only other phone I've used with a single speaker is the Galaxy A15. And the speaker on that thing specifically is terrible because, like, literally if it's covered like this at all, you cannot hear a thing. This phone is not like that. When you're doing something with audio vertically, it's really hard to tell. And then when it's sideways, yeah, it is only coming out of one side. But it's way better than any other single speaker phone that I've ever used. So that really is a non-issue. As far as the battery goes, for the whole time I've had this phone, I've ended the day with about 50%. Now, I think that's probably because I mostly use my Mac or my iPad for stuff, and I only use this when I'm out and about because it's just a smaller screen, more awkward to type on. And I just don't use my phone for a ton of stuff. I don't doom scroll like most people. So for me, the battery was great, but most people who bought this phone, it's not really lasting them the full day, so it just kind of depends on if you can charge it during the day. And then the camera was another trade-off, so it only has one single camera. It has 2x optical zoom, up to 10x zoom, but then no ultra-wide, which I very rarely think I would use the ultra-wide. I've never missed it. I do occasionally wish I had more zoom, but even then it's very occasionally. And then the camera's also just worse than it is on the Pros. But I'm also not a heavy camera user. That's probably going to change now that I'm starting a YouTube channel. But for the bulk of me having this phone, like, I take pictures of sunsets, and then like I need to show people stuff occasionally. So I just don't take a lot of pictures. Then another concern I remember when this phone first came out that everyone had was heat. I've never noticed the performance get throttled. The most intensive thing I've done on it has just been like a little bit of super light gaming. I feel like when I played Minecraft on it when I first got it, up here would get hot, everywhere else would be fine. It got hot playing Rocket League Sideswipe. Other than that, I feel like it doesn't really get that hot unless it's in the sun. So that's nice. And you've probably noticed that I don't have a case on this. And for the bulk of my time using this, I did have a case on it until this week because I'm trying to decide if I want a case or not on my new Fold. So I think I've dropped I've dropped this phone 3 times in the whole time I've had it, which isn't a lot, They weren't very big drops, and I was like flipping it around and fidgeting with it and stuff. So if you're someone who drops your phone a lot, definitely put a case on it, and it still feels really thin. I got the D-brand Ghost case. They are not sponsored, but I did use their case, and I really, really liked it. So I would recommend the Ghost case, and I have the Prism screen protector on. I would strongly recommend that as well. So then I have a little bit of a hot take. I don't think this phone should have to exist, and here's why. So obviously, just thinner phone, nicer in your hand, like objectively, like it's just nicer to have a thinner and lighter phone. For the past, couple of years, the iPhone thickness has remained pretty much the exact same. Somewhere around like the 11, 12, it's like basically been the same since then. Until the iPhone Air. And then they went out of their way to make it thin, but then there's a bunch of compromises. I don't think that during the development of the iPhone 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, they were like, what can we do to make this phone just a little bit thinner? Even if it's like half a millimeter, a third of a millimeter even. Like just a little bit thinner. Because if they had been pushing for it to get a little bit thinner with each iteration, we would start heading in this direction, and the phone would be thin, maybe not quite as thin as this phone yet, but it would be thin and still be a great iPhone. So that's my take. This phone, I'm glad it exists, but it shouldn't have to.